When you've worked underground for 30 years, you start recognizing sounds. A dull knock? No big deal. A creak? Better pay attention. But when it gets too quiet, that's when it's the worst. Because that's when the mine is planning something. My name's Danny McCoy. I'm 48 years old. A roof support installer at the Mary Alice South Mine in West Virginia. We don't dig coal. We make it safe so others can. We go in first, setting up beams, anchors, mesh. After us come the cable guys, the ventilation team, the electricians. Without us, nobody goes forward. We're like sappers, and first, out last. Our section isn't the easiest. The system's old, the walls are tight, damp. We're working about 1,650 feet down. The elevator's a clattering cage of steel, greasy and loud. New guys always bump their shoulder on the sidewall. I don't anymore. I know every bump, every sway, every weird little creak. A mine's like an old dog. If you know how to treat it, it'll let you live. There were 6 of us in the crew. Jake, drill operator, been by my side over a decade. Thomas, anchor specialist, talks maybe twice a day. Elliot, the gas tech. Buddy, the boss, mid-60s, eyes like an X-ray. The kind of man who already got out of a collapse once and looks like he's expecting another. And the new guy that day, Junior. His real name was Danny too, but to keep things clear, we called him Junior. He was quiet, but his eyes jumped. That's normal. First time underground. Everything's too tight, too loud, too close. But mines don't like nervous folks. You need to be like the rock, steady. We were headed for Branch 3 Bravo, a fresh-cut section. About 200 yards in, narrow, unlined. No cables, no airflow, no lights except our headlamps. Our job, drill points, set beams, hang the mesh, and get out. It looked calm. The rock felt solid. Gas readings were within range. Elliot gave the nod. Pressure slightly high, but nothing critical. We started like always. Jake got the drill humming, that old beast we call the devil's chainsaw. Thomas laid anchors like a machine. I checked tension, marked beams. Buddy walked along the wall, shining light into cracks, making small chalk marks wherever he didn't like the look of the ceiling. If Buddy marked a spot, it meant something. If he marked a lot, it meant listen close. Junior moved behind us, getting in the way more than helping, but trying hard. A couple times he tangled up in the hose line, and Jake muttered, "If you're gonna die, at least do it directly under the drill. Faster that way." We all laughed. Even Junior, though it was nervous laughter. Around 11 we stopped for a break. Sat right on the supply crates. I unwrapped a ham sandwich, Thomas sipped water, Elliot was still watching gas readings. But he didn't eat. Just sat staring at the wall. He did that sometimes, when something was bugging him deep down. "Have you ever had things go wrong down here?" Junior asked. "Sure," I said. "But if we all ran every time something happened, this mine'd be closed 20 years ago. Main thing is, don't act like a hero. Do the job. And listen to the rock." He nodded, but his eyes were still jumpy. I remembered my own first weeks. It's normal. But a mine doesn't forgive mistakes, even small ones. After lunch, we went back to work. Jake fired up the drill. The rhythm sounded right. But then, something wasn't. Between shifts and drilling, I heard something else. Faint. A scratchy, dragging sound. Like someone running a nail along metal, but from inside the wall. I stopped. "You hear that?" I asked. Nobody answered. Everyone kept working. "Probably nothing," I muttered to myself. But deep down, I felt it. That kind of thing happened before. Not often. But if you're underground, you always trust your first gut feeling. The mind doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it whispers. And if you miss that whisper, you don't get another chance. On paper, everything was fine. Ventilation steady. Gas readings within limits. Drill running smooth. But still, something felt off. We all felt it. Just nobody wanted to be the first to say it. Jake, who usually drills while cracking jokes, had gone quiet. And I noticed, every time he redid a measurement, it wasn't about being precise. It was because something didn't sit right with him. Thomas was quiet too. He normally complains when anchors hit soft rock. Now he was silent. Just drilled, checked, moved on. Elliot came up beside me, eyes fixed on his gas monitor. "You feel it too?" he asked under his breath. "Yeah. Air feels different. Pressure's been jumping. Temperatures climbed almost 2 degrees in the last half hour. It's not a lot, but when it's unprovoked, it means something." I nodded. He wasn't the panicky type. If he said something was wrong, it was worth listening. We moved farther down the branch. Marker tags every 10 yards. Behind us, a neat line of supports and mesh. Everything looked clean. But Buddy was still marking beams with chalk. Every second one. Buddy, I called. What are all the marks for? He didn't turn around. Weak seams somewhere. Pull from the top. Better to overbuild. Then he kept walking. He never said things like that. Normally, it's looks good or holding fine. Now it was better to overbuild. Around the 170-yard mark, Junior tripped. Dust went up. We helped him up, nothing major, just slipped on a soft patch. But when I looked where he fell, I saw a thin fracture running along the floor, right under the anchor. Thomas, take a look at this. He crouched down, cursed under his breath. That's new. Wasn't there this morning. I lit up the ceiling. Another crack. Small. Snake-like. If you mapped them both, they'd form a diagonal line. That's pressure. The seam's pushing, Thomas said. It's built up. That meant a lot. A seam might sit quiet for years. Then snap. I walked over to Jake. How's it going? He shut off the drill. Turned to me. Rock's different. Softer. Drill sounds wrong. Feels like the wall's thinning. Or getting crumbly. I nodded. The mine was shifting. And you don't always see it, but you sure can hear it. I'd pull out, he said. Something's off. I went to Buddy. He was near the far end of the tunnel, light aimed at the ceiling. You hearing it? I asked. He nodded. I already radioed it in. Topside should know. But no response yet. I looked around. Everyone was in position. No one was freaking out. But the look on their faces was different. And then it went quiet. Not just the regular kind. Total quiet. Even the drill had stopped. Only breathing. And the faint crunch of boots. What is that? Junior whispered. Ventilation, Elliot said. It slowed down. I stepped to the wall. Laid my palm flat. It vibrated. Faint. Barely noticeable. But not from a drill. Not from us. Something was moving inside. Then, I heard a click. One. Like someone cracking an ice cube in the next room. Then silence. Back out, I said. Slow. Easy. No sudden moves. We turned around. Step by step. I brought up the rear. Counted every foot. Listened to every scrape. The mine wasn't breathing like before. It was deeper. Slower. This wasn't panic. This was the moment before. We moved backward, slowly. Step by step, like we were crossing ice. Nobody said a word. Even Junior. He walked right behind Thomas, eyes locked on his back like losing him meant falling off a cliff. Elliot stared at his monitor. Readings were all over the place. Methane spiking, ammonia showing up, pressure unstable. Are they watching us? Junior whispered. Who's they? Thomas asked without turning around. You know, the mine. No one answered. We all knew what he meant. And we all knew better than talk about it. At yard 130, Buddy raised his hand. We stopped. We hold here, he said. Next stretch is reinforced. Too early to bail. Let's figure out what this is. We stopped. Sat where we could. I sat with my back to the wall. And felt it. Vibration. Faint. Even weaker than before. But now rhythmic. Like a pulse. Jake leaned in next to me. You heard the clicks? 2. With a pause. Cracks forming. I nodded. It wasn't panic. It was fact. Like saying it's raining or the water's cold. Only this time, it was the ceiling above us that was deciding what happens next. Elliot did another pass with his monitor. He carried an old but solid Intec 900. Tapped the screen, checked the data, clenched his jaw. Thresholds passed, he said. Officially unstable zone. Pressure's 12% above baseline. Ammonia's borderline. Then we radio it in, I said. Already did. Waiting on confirmation. Waiting in a mine is the worst thing. When you're just standing or sitting there and nothing's happening. But you know, something is happening. Just not here yet. Junior sat next to me. What if it collapses? Then we're behind supports, I said. Not in the epicenter. That's what matters. Just don't make sudden moves. And if we're not fast enough? I looked at him. Then we do what we know how to do. We breathe. And we listen. He nodded. Stayed quiet another 10 minutes. Then a sound. Not loud. Actually, it was too soft. At first, I thought it was airflow. But no. It was a grinding noise. Above us. Like someone turning a giant rusted bolt inside the rock. Then another click. Then another. And silence. We looked at each other. Ceiling, Thomas said, flat. Buddy pulled out chalk again. Started marking one of the reinforced beams. Urgent tag, he said. Wall's alive. That meant, even in the safe zone, Something might give. We wait for command, he added. If no signal in 10, we're moving. Seconds stretched like harnesses under weight. We only heard breathing. One of the headlamps flickered. Jake switched to a backup without a word. Then a hum. Low. Faint. But growing. I looked at Elliot. Gas, he said. Move. Now. Masks on. Fast. 2 seconds later, the air got worse. Methane jumped. Pressure almost 20% above norm. Evac. Buddy ordered. Move. Now. We moved. Fast. But not running. I felt the floor start to groan. Not loud, but alive. At yard 90, I heard it. A crack. Right where we'd just been. Then a dull boom. But by then, we were already running. We didn't make it. At yard 75, behind us, the ceiling made a sound I'll never forget. It wasn't an explosion. Not like in the movies. It was like the world above us cracked in half and dropped. First, a snap, then a rip, then weight. So much weight it felt like your own bones were being pressed into the floor. And you couldn't see it, but you could hear it coming. Go. Jake shouted, and we ran. The tunnel was narrow. The fall was fast. First the beams collapsed like matchsticks. Then the mesh. Then tons of rock. Somewhere behind, someone screamed. Elliot. We didn't hear him again. I yanked Junior down a side passage, a bend where the tunnel widened just a little. Thomas and Buddy dove in after us. Jake last, he practically fell into me. Then silence. Not full silence. Just choked the air. Debris clattered. Breathing rasped through masks. But the living sound of the mine? The drill? The wind? The machine hum? Gone. We were trapped. The space was no more than 8 feet long, maybe 4 across. Ceiling so low you couldn't stand. We were jammed in together like tools in a box. Just hung like fog. Each breath got harder. Who's okay? I asked, coughing. I am, Jake said, wiping blood from his forehead. Here, Buddy muttered. Thomas, alive, came a short reply. I'm here, Junior whispered. Elliot. I called. Silence. Elliot. Nothing. I clenched my jaw. That meant one gone. He'd been a good tech. Quiet. Reliable. Does everyone have their tanks? I asked. Everyone checked. I had mine. Junior froze. It got knocked off. My belt. I handed him my spare. Take it. No arguing. I'm older. I breathed slower. He nodded. Didn't say another word. Mine regulations say everyone gets 1 tank. I always carry 2. Just in case. Lights 2 still working. 1 flickering. 1 completely out. Listen now, Buddy said. No talking. When they signal, we respond. Danny, you got anything to knock with? Yeah. I pulled out the emergency hammer. Metal nearby? Support beam above us. I knocked 3 times. Pause. 3 more. The code. Alive. Trapped. Waiting. No response. Not yet. Just began to settle. We sat there, hunched in that tight, stone pocket, and the ceiling felt like it was breathing. Not really, but you could feel it. It pulsed. Like something alive was just above your head, deciding what to do with you. Junior was breathing fast. Hey, I said, placing a hand on his shoulder. Breathe slow. Don't waste the oxygen. Picture the beach. You're just lying in the sand. Waves pulled back. Help's coming. He nodded. Shut his eyes. A tear slid down his cheek. But he didn't cry. Just breathed. Jake was quiet. Normally his mouth ran nonstop, but not now. Thomas spoke quietly to himself, maybe counting his breaths. We sat there maybe 20 minutes. Maybe an hour. Hard to tell underground. I knocked again. Still no answer. We didn't know how long we had. Tanks don't last forever. The air, even with masks, was warming. Thickening. Like breathing inside a wet jacket. You said you've been in cave-ins before? Junior asked. Yeah. Twice. And they got people out? Sometimes. But if you can still feel your heartbeat, you've got a shot. And if I can't? Then listen for mine. We sat quiet again. Then a knock. Faint. Muffled. But exact. 3. Pause. 2. Pause. 1. They got it, I whispered. They heard us. I knocked back. Steady. Solid. We're alive. We're waiting. Come get us. That knock. They might as well have lit the sun in that little pocket. 3. Pause. 2. Pause. 1. Clear code. We hear you. Hold on. I hammered back against the support beam. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Now came the hard part. Waiting. We knew they knew. Which meant they were probably already drilling. tracking readings, mapping the collapse. That stuff's not fast, but it's better than silence. How long, you think? Jake asked. If things go right, maybe 3 hours. If not, more. Depends how the fall landed. What if it collapses again? I looked at the ceiling, still holding for now. Then it's out of our hands. Buddy sat down against the wall, folded his jacket like a pillow, closed his eyes. Not asleep, just saving breath. We all started copying him, each in our own little space. Nobody talked, except me hammering the code every 20 minutes. The air started to thicken, not chemically, viscerally. Warm, sticky, like breathing through soup. Junior's breathing picked up again. Not panic, just the beginning of oxygen drop. We're switching, I said. I handed him my backup tank, took off my mask and kept only the basic filter. He didn't argue, just took it, nodded. But now you don't have. I've got air, I said. And as long as I've got that, I'm alive. So don't waste words, breathe. He turned away, clenching his fist just to stop the shaking. Another knock, closer this time. Then came a new sound, tools. Steel against rock. Rhythmic. Real. They're digging, Thomas said. Hear that? I hear it, I said. If they came from that side, they'll need to go around 2 caved-in sections. It'll take time. But if they don't stop, they'll get here. More knocks. Louder. Not codes now at work. Drills. Picks. You could feel them in your feet. God, Junior whispered. It's real. It's really them. I looked at him. The mind doesn't let go easy. But when it gives you a chance, you hold on. Thomas said, tank's at a quarter. I've got maybe 20 minutes left. I'll swap with you, Jake said. I've still got half. When yours taps out, we switch. No drama. Just practical. Everyone knew what to do. And then a different sound. Cracking. Just a sliver. Then, light. Not sunlight, but a beam. A flashlight. Cutting through the dust. Danny. A voice. Real. Yes. I shouted back. There are 4 of us. 1 down. Stay there. We're breaching now. More digging. Louder. Closer. Then a chunk of the wall gave. 1 rock. Then another. Then a gap. Through it, a helmet. Then a face. Then a hand. Hold on. We've got you. Junior went first. He tried to argue, but I shook my head. You go first. You're smaller. You breathe lighter. And your mama's probably waiting on you. So move. He crawled out. I heard them pull him through. Got him. Someone shouted. Thomas followed. Then Jake. I went last. Crawled like an old dog. Rock under my knees. Hands slipping. But I made it out. First thing I felt was air. Fresh. Real. Cold. It hit me like a wave. I sat down. Just sat. Not on the ground, on my legs. And breathed. Nobody clapped. Nobody shouted. They just stood there. And I kept breathing. They didn't pull us all out at once. One at a time. First came Junior, light concussion, minor bruising. Then Thomas, shoulder sprain. Jake barely had a scratch, just blood in his hair. I was last. It felt like I crawled for an hour, but it was probably 3 minutes. 1 knee, 1 elbow at a time, crawling through the opening they'd cut in the rock. Outside, it was bright. Not just light, blinding. Even through the dust, through the headlamps and floodlights. The air hit like a wall fan on full blast. Cold. Fast. I coughed. Eyes teared up. And I breathed. They took me by the arms. Voices all around. Medics. Radiation, vitals, mask off, oxygen here. Machines, hands, questions, lights. I didn't respond. I just sat there. And breathed. Later, they brought us all together. Temporary trailer, AC buzzing, old coffee machine in the corner. We sat in a row. Quiet. Each of us with a water bottle, a thermal blanket, and bandages where needed. We didn't talk. We just knew. Buddy came out later. They found him deeper in, near the old junction. Broken leg, ribs bruised. But alive. The first thing he said when he saw us was, "So, the beams held. Huh." And yeah, we smiled. There was something in that line. Like all the sweat, the drills, the bolts and mesh, they worked. All those quiet shifts. All those hours laying steel. They did what they were supposed to do. And in a mine, that means everything. Later came the suits. Safety inspectors. Union reps. People from HQ. Questions. Reports. Statements. What we heard. What we did. What came before. We answered. Simple. Clean. When did the rock start shifting? 170-yard mark. Hairline cracks. Audible snaps. When was evacuation called? Minutes before collapse. Verbal from site lead. What actions were taken after the cave-in? Signal knocks every 20 minutes. 2 tanks shared. Emotional state. Stable. It all sounded cold on paper. But it wasn't cold to us. No speeches. No medals. We were just miners. Doing what miners do. When they cleared us, we didn't go home right away. We walked out behind the office trailer. Sat on the ground. Sun was low. Sky was pink. And the dust still hung in the air, just barely. Danny, Jake said, next time you say it doesn't matter which boot you wear first. I'm buying you 2 matching ones. Really? I said. No. But I'll yell louder. We laughed. Quiet, tired, but real. Junior sat nearby. Didn't talk much. Just stared at the horizon. But as we stood up to go, he said one thing. Thanks. For the tank. I nodded. Now you know what it really means to be underground. He didn't say anything else. Just followed us. The mine shut down for a few days. Inspections. Sensor calibrations. Management offered counseling. Most declined. We had our own ways of coping. I went back a week later. Not as a hero. Just as a worker. New tunnel. New beams. Same drill. Someone asked me what it was like. I said, tight. Hot. But we weren't alone. A new guy, must have been 20, asked me, were you scared? I thought about it. Yeah. But I knew how to breathe. It's not a metaphor. It's real. Sometimes all you need is one breath. Then another. And another. And if you know how to listen to the silence, it'll always tell you something worth hearing.